Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing my favorite duo in Direction F, and this is the combination of Tornadus and Landorous variant. This team that I'm showing here is a team that just top cut the recent Victory Road tournament at 9th place here from a meme, and I believe some other top players have been using this team, like Tehran and such, to keep us at EOC last time we had Rec F, and it also hit rank 1 the BO3 ladder. Fede Compo was streaming it, and I saw him using it there. And yeah, this team hit really high, and it's good versus a handful of different things. The main reason why Choice Band Landorous is so good, it's really good versus common balance teams like Raging Bolt and Cinnabar. Ground coverage in general is just very, very good. You pair it next to your flying type. You click Earthquake next to Tornadus very safely. But yeah, like, to kind of explain like why I love Choice Band Landorous so much, I actually used this in the beginning of Reg F with Sempra. I don't know if you guys know Sempra or remember Sempra, but fellow regional champion, one of the best. Unfortunately, has taken a really big hiatus. But he top 16 the GC with our Choice Band Landorous team that we made together. I based this team off a concept he had, and we worked on it a bunch, and then he did really well in the GC with it. I won a local with it. I also won a game with NPA with it. It was a really fun team, as you can see. It also has a very similar concepts to the Choice Band Landorous team we're going to feature today. The only differences here is the Flutter main over the Raging Bolt and the Terra Steel Landorous, and also some other different techs, right? Terra Steel Goldango was just because I liked clicking Terra Steel Make It Rain, but Terra Dragon is definitely more flexible. I think being able to resist things like Okarpon Heartflame and Wellspring in this format is pretty nice, so I get the idea behind the addition of the Terra Dragon on the Goldango. And also like Raging Bolt, it's kind of similar to Flutter in the sense where we want extra speed control, but what Raging Bolt provides on this team is more bulk all around, also resisting the Fly Rider Grass. Flutter Main's more of like a faster piece where it's better in like tail and mirrors in a sense. And it's also good versus Tricker teams with Taunt, and that's why I preferred it in that way. But I think for the current meta, this is probably the more consistent version of it, and that's what we're going to showcase it for today. A lot of the EVs are just my recreation of it. Like the Choice Band Landorous here, it's the same one that I used in my first version. But you hit 137 speed stat, which means after a Bleak Wind drop, you should be outspeeding things like Chen Pao. 252 attack is to maximize your damage, just to make the most use of the Choice Band, kill things with Earthquake and Stomping. Rockslide good coverage to hit flying types, and U-Turn's good for positioning and hitting like Okarpon and such. We ran Terra Fairy, but Terra Steel is also pretty good. I like Steel to resist things like Ice Spinner from Chen Power Icicle Crash. You're also resisting grass all around. Maybe you want to like resist Grassy Glide. Terra Steel would also help for that. Tornadus, also Terra Steel, just a really good defensive Terra when you are part flying, right? And your Modest here, I thought Modest was quite nice just to maximize the damage from Bleak Wind Storm. Bleak Wind Storm actually hits like a truck, and Choice Band Landorous doesn't really appreciate dealing with grass types all around, mainly Okarpon and Rillaboom, and even hitting Urshifu and such. Bleak Wind Storm with 44 Modest, it just does a bunch of damage. It's a little bit over the bump there. I had 180 HP to live Common Thunderclap from Raging Bolt, 92 defense to live Mystic Water Surgeon, I'm pretty sure, and 188 speed. That I believe it hits 154 speed stat. Let me double check. 155 speed stat. So you're outspeeding Lando I by 2 points, which also means you're creeping some of these slower Okarpons. Like this Okarpon here is 154, which outspeeds Modest Lando, but we're actually faster than Okarpon, so we can Bleak Wind first, for example, also outspeeding some of the other slow Okarpons in the format. Goldango here, we're pretty bulky for the most part as a leftover set. I think you want a handful of bulk. I decided to go for 204, so you can outspeed Pelipper by 2 points. You also outspeed some of these slow booster Flutter mates under Tailwind, which I think is kind of important because if you ever Terra Dragon, it might be nice to outspeed a booster Flutter under Tailwind, if so. Okarpon Wellspring, I already explained, you're 1 point slower on Tornadus, you're faster than Modest Lando, and you're just relatively really bulky. I'm a huge fan of bulky Okarpon while still having a good amount of speed, so that's why I decided to have this Jolly set here. Urshifu Dark, pretty straightforward, right? You don't really need any fancy EVs with Urshifu Dark. Urshifu Dark is nice on this team because you already have the Okarpon Wellspring, so you don't want to really stack big waters in a sense. And Urshifu Dark is really good at forcing out Fairy Terras, which Goldango can pin with Make It Rain. Raging Bolt here, very standard AB set, right? You have webs just for more speed control, Draco Snarl. Snarl's good utility for mostly like side spam teams and such, and Thunderclap is, always mandatory on this guy. So yeah, that's my explanation of the team, and we're just gonna play on ladder and see how it goes. Alright, so for some battles, I'll do some live ones after this, but I did play 3 or 4 before the recording just to get a feel of the team so I knew what I was doing. So I wanted to show off some of the games I had here. So the first set I had was versus a Sun team. This is actually the team that Elizabeth used to top for the most recent VR, where we took this team from, right? So that's kind of funny. And when I was looking at this matchup, if you look at the Elizabeth team in general, there was like very little ground switch-ins. So I essentially used the Landorous here to force the Raging Bolt to Terra, so I can use Gholdengo to pin it. Usually this kind of teams, like, you can pin a lot of Terras with Gholdengo plus Landorous, and I was able to pin the Terra on the Raging Bolt and force his defensive play. And even after, this is looking kind of dire, right? So like I traded Torrent and Gold just to get Tailwind and to do just a little bit chip damage. But the bright side is Raging Bolt's 80% and it's already Terra Ferried. But at this point as well, everything's also an Earthquake range. So under these 2 turns of Tailwind, I can just kind of click Earthquake over and over again and win the game from here essentially. Torkoal doesn't have Protect, so I can safely just go for Horn Leech and self EQ. Totally fine because I still have Tailwind, one more turn of Tailwind. The Walking Wake here is also Proto Special Attack, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot either, right? But now, yeah, here I can go for Terra Steel, which is safe to resist the Dragon Pulse. And I can Protect to cycle in Follow Me the following turn, because I don't know if Horn Leech would have killed for 29% there, so I felt pretty safe to go for a Protect play. And now here I can Follow Me in EQ, and because I was Terra Steel, Dazzle wouldn't have killed, and now EQ kind of just board wipes, as you can see here. So Choice Band Landorous is really good versus teams that, well, you see, there's no instant, there's no Rilla. So Earthquake is completely free versus entire team outside of his own Landorous. And even if he brought his own Lando, my Lando kind of walls out his Lando in a way, and I have Tornadus and Ogerpon to also threaten his Landorous. For the game 2, I went for a very similar game plan, except this time around, instead of leading Tornadus, I led Ogerpon to protect the Lando more. This is because if I led Tornadus and ran a Raging Bolt, I just died to Earthquake immediately, which I didn't really want to happen. So this time around, I could just Follow Me, and I go for U-turn again to get in my Raging Bolt in safely. I believe this time around I dropped the Gholdengo, just because like I felt that even with the Terra Fairy forcing on it, like Earthquake in general was too shy in the Raging Bolt, so I didn't feel like I needed to make it rain. And also Raging Bolt defensively, I take advantage of his Sun, and I'm still like doing pretty good to his Raging Bolt, Torkoal, and Walking Wake still with the Soul Vest. So that's why I felt pretty safe into that. And here, yeah, just go for Horn Leech and just Draco the Torkoal just to remove it. Draco Meteor in Sun with Pro Synthesis always just kills Torkoal straight up. Torkoal has a very low speed def stat. And from here, I'm going to get my Tornadus to get that Tailwind finally. And at this point, with Tailwind, I can just win a Tailwind Earthquake with Landorous in the back. I actually go for Protect to scout the Walking Wake to see if he would go for attack there. Also get a little more damage on Raging. And I think I also need a little bit of chip. And this was because with a little bit of chip damage, I can break the Raging Bolt with Earthquake and also the Walking Wake with Earthquake. That was the general idea. And he goes for Sleep Powder, but at this point, I just kind of win with Stomping Tantrum. He has to land Sleep Powder, in a sense, to probably come back from this. He goes for Close Combat instead. But I live because he's -1. And here, it just comes down to me waking up. And I'm able to not wake up here, but go for the Stomping into the Logan. It actually lives on a Sliver, which is just kind of shocking. But at this point, he is so low, and it's hard for him to come back, because I have Raging Bolt in the back, a very healthy Raging Bolt. And his Logan's -1, of course, as well. And he kind of has to, like, I'm also faster because speed drop and in Tailwind. So this is where the Tailwind is very important. Even if he landed Sleep Powder here, he basically had to go for full turn sleeps, post like critical hits, close combats. So I'm able to win the game from there with a combination of Tailwind support, Landorous, and Raging Bolt this time I think was a better adjustment because my Gholdengo didn't really do much. It was too weak to Torkoal and Walking Wake. And yeah, Raging Bolt is the better defensive pieces versus any kind of Sun team, any kind of Fire Rider Grass Core. Raging Bolt does better than the Flutter Mane that I had on my original team here. The next time I have, I'm actually playing against the Mirror. It's a Mirror, and instead of Raging Bolt, they have Hands, and instead of Urshifu, they have Chien-Pao. And what's interesting, it's actually Icy when Chien-Pao. So it kind of made some of this dynamics kind of awkward. But anyways, when I was looking at this matchup, I figured that my own Landorous only was quite good. Like, both our Landorous, I think, match up well against each other, but I get to intimidate a bunch of different things. It's good versus Chien-Pao lead, it's good versus Hands, I'm going to intimidate his Lando and his Ogerpon, and the thing that's still good about Intimidate plus Tornadus is after Intimidate and my Tornadus is so bulky, I would live in a Chien-Pao hit. So due to Chien-Pao Tornadus lead, I was always safe to kind of just click Bleak Wind and just Terrorist to Rock Slide to knock out a Spinner, and I can remove both potentially here. And that's what I attempt to do. Except I missed the Bleak Wind on the Chien-Pao, which is a little unfortunate because I'm not able to get a double knockout here. But the bright side is he actually attempted to click Bleak Wind with his Tornadus, and I got the speed drop, so he was kind of screwed because of that. But from here, it's totally fine because now with no Tailwind, I can set up Tailwind first and outspeed his whole team. I felt safe to sack my Landorous at this point, because if he clicked, like, Stomping, it was okay, or Earthquake, because, like, his Chen-Pao, he doesn't have any more flying immunities on his side. I got a free swap in this end, and here I can kind of click Follow Me and Bleak Wind to avoid Sucker Punch, which he attempts here, and there's no Bleak Wind switching at that point. He left us some EQ, and I can kind of just click these buttons over and over again and win the game from here. So yeah, in the Tailwind Mirror, if your opponent doesn't get Tailwind up, there's nothing they can really do, right? He was kind of cooked after that turn 1, to be honest. And yeah, this is a combination of Torn, clicking Bleak Wind to cover for the weaknesses that Lando and Ogerpon can't really hit as well, was really nice. And also again, we're modest. Bleak Wind's actually adding up, and Ogerpon protects the Tornado very well, just kind of Bleak Wind the whole team. There was no flying switching at that point. For the game 2, I decided to go for the same lead here. Again, like, Torn Lando actually there's no drawback to what he has, to be honest. Like, maybe he could have done something like maybe Ogerpon lead, maybe to prevent like Yosu Terra, but I also have my own Terra, right? So it wasn't a big deal. So I attempt the same play. This time around, I missed a Torn, which is a little unfortunate, so I don't get a double knockout again. But I'm able to remove the Chen-Pao, which is still nice. There's no more speed control of the Icy Wind in that regard. But here, he's not taunt on his Torn, so I can set up my own Tailwind, or protect the stall of his own Tailwind's turns. He cooks Stomping, which is okay, because I sacked my my Golem, because I thought like keeping Lando was more reliable. And here I can use Tailwind plus Ivy Cudgel here on the Landorous, or Horn Leash the Torn in this case, because he was a very slow Torn. I figured his Tornadus was slower because my Torn outsped his, which might make Ogerpon realistically outsped his Tornadus. But yeah, with a combination of Tim and Bleak Wind, I'm still able to come back from this game. He also tears Ogerpon super early here, and I have my own Ogerpon to pin his Terra now. Bleak Wind here to force his Terra, do loads of damage into his Ogerpon. He can't lock himself at any safe move. If he locked himself on Stomping, he can't hit the Tornadus, and that was the issue. I also have the Ogerpon that resists ground, right? So he was in a bad spot regardless. I can cudgel Landorous to force a Follow Me. He doesn't do it, and now I just win the game from here, because my Ogerpon in Tailwind will be his Ogerpon. So yeah, forcing out Water Terras is really nice for your Ogerpon to pin it. And yeah, this was kind of just a game of just Torn Lando going kind of crazy, right? Usually in general Tailwind Mirrors, you can probably either lead your own Tornadus plus like Lando. I think that's relatively safe in Tailwind Mirrors. You can also do something like Torn Ursh, or even like sometimes use Raging Bolt. I think if he didn't have Power Lando, I could have considered bringing Lando into Torn Mirror, because, I mean not Lando, sorry, Raging Bolt. Because Raging Bolt matches very well into Tornadus. It just wasn't really good versus partners, mainly his own Lando lead or his own Chen-Pao. So I figured Lando there was quite good here. Alright, next game, I went against a Cresselia and Registeel. Pokemon you don't really see often, but Desu, Italian player, was able to top 8 one of the regionals with this kind of team. And yeah, I believe this actually might be him as well. I believe he was streaming with this, so this is Desu, hello. And looking at this, I felt like Landorous was very strong versus his team. Outside of Cresselia, Earthquake hit majority of it. So I go for a Protect and Earthquake here to cover for a Thunderbolt, but he calls me out and completely just fake outs my Lando and goes for the Dragon Pulse to chip me down. I miss Bleak Wind. I go over Stomping to force out the Terra. He does fake me out, so it is double base power, which is nice. But losing my Tornadus and not getting Tailwind up is going to be a little unfortunate because he's Wellspring in the back, which is probably faster than most of my team at this point. From here, because I'm slower than his Wellspring, it's really unfortunate because he can also just double me up because I was calling maybe a potential swap to instant. So I went for a Greedy Nasty Plot, got the turn completely wrong and got punished for it. So pretty atrocious turn 1, but honestly, Tornadus didn't feel like it did much on lead there. Like, Bleak Wind was nice, but leading Tornadus in front of Rage Bolt is never a good thing. So that's something for me to consider going to a game 2. So I know I led Torn Lando a lot in some of these replays, but another lead I like to do with this team is Landorous and Goldango. So you have the combination of Landorous to threaten Pokemon like Instant or Rage Bolt with Stomping, and you also have Nasty Plot pressure. So from here, I'm able to Stomping the Raging to try to force it to Terra to pin a Goldango later, and allow me to get a free plot. Although he does go for a defensive swap, I think it's totally fine, because I have Terra Dragon now to resist the Ogerpon, and also not get KO'd by Wicked Blow here. So I'm able to go for a Terra Dragon to live the Wicked Blow and Horn Leash combo. He could have honestly went for Ivy Cudgel, but I guess Horn Leash was covering for a defensive swap into like my own Ogerpon, so I can't get the blame on that, because Ivy Cudgel, I probably could have like lost my gold immediately. You can also consider making a bulkier Goldango. I think if I was a bulkier gold, I would always live the Ivy Cudgel plus Terra Dark Wicked Blow, so that's something to kind of consider as well. But yeah, at this point, I'm going to kind of follow me over and over again to use my Goldango to remove this Urshifu, which is a big threat to my team at this point. And I'm able to actually go for Horn Leash instead because I'm faster than Ursh, and he goes for Sucker Punch to try to pick me up. Because I'm so bulky, I'm able to live the Sucker combo, and I don't die to the Horn Leash till after. I'm able to get a double knockout. And with Terra consumed, I'm able to beat the rest of the team with the combination of Urshifu, and I have Landorous in the back. He doesn't have Terra anymore, right? He tears Urshifu, so I can sack my Goldango at this point after this. and then win with Landorous Earthquake, right? He legit can't win his point. I just need to get some damage off. Maybe Earthquake doesn't kill Raging. I can like attack it once and then bring out Lando, click EQ, and board wipe the field. So that was pretty clean for the most part. For the game 3, I believe I just attempt the same thing because I like the general lead all around. Again, like Landorous able to force out Terra and Raging would be huge here. And I'm able to kind of get a free plot up if needed. This time around, though, I expect him to go for the attack and Goldango play, because I went for the nasty plot turn 1 last time, so I expect him to double me. This time around, he goes for Snarl, and I think he parting shots my Lando. But I got a huge Earthquake off on the Raging, so at this point, Raging's not really a threat, right? I'm kind of clicking Earthquake over and over again. There's not really much he can do. Here, I go for Terra Dragon to live the Wicked Blow and go for Make It Rain to break the Urshifu Focus Sash. He actually instead goes for a Wicked Blow into the Lando slot, which is really smart, and pulses me on Terra, but I live because of my bulk. But from here, I'm able to follow me and Make It Rain to protect my Goldango from the Sucker Punch or Wicked Blow. I'm able to get rid of Urshifu, which at this point is the biggest threat to my Landorous, right? Landorous does not really appreciate taking Wicked Blow, but I have my own Raging Bolt in the back here and Landorous. And my idea behind Raging instead of Tornadus in the game, because Tornadus kind of died game 1 for me, but I'm able to isolate his Ogerpon, or isolate the Urshifu and Raging Bolt to make it really low. Raging Bolt is able to clean up the instant and Ogerpon in the back. Because even with Ogerpon coming up the field not intimidated, what is Ogerpon doing into a healthy Raging Bolt? So here I'm able to click webs over and over again, and at this point, yeah, Ogerpon cannot kill my Raging. He might need like 4 different kind of crits, but because I have the webs off, I can attack first always, and yeah, it's impossible for him to win at that point. So yeah, Raging Bolt, defensively, it's super good in these kind of matchups versus any kind of Fire Water Grass team. You just wall instant Ogerpon and Urshifu so well. So that I do think the Raging Bolt version is better than my Flutter version here, just because defensively, it just checks a lot of the weaknesses Landorous and Tornadus have. So yeah. Alright, for the last game I played before this, I went against Yuma's Regidrago team. It's the LIC champion. He ran his team for World Cup. And it's a pretty funny team. It's like Terra Dragon, Regidrago with like Jugless, Pokemon you don't really see often. But I just felt like Landorous was so good on paper here. Just like it hits majority team, I can timid the Heartflame as well, and I have Terra Steel for potential Fluttermane and Drago. To be honest, I didn't expect to click Ice Wind there because I was Terra Steel, but it just removes Lando straight up because of choice specs. But that Rock Slide damage is so huge because everything's a range of clap now, right? Jugulis and the Flutter. But I was calling a swap here, so I just went for webs because Fluttermane was locked itself with Icy, so I didn't think it would actually stay in and do much damage. So that felt quite safe. But from here, I'm able to kind of click Blink Wind over and over again. I forced out his Terror on the Rilla, which is really big because I bought Wellspring in the back. And yeah, again, like this is kind of cases where Tor and Orlando can force out potential Terras, and you have pins with either Ogerpon, Goldango, etc. In this case, I get to pin the Grass Weak with my Water type Ogerpon because he's Terrified, right? And at this point, I'm able to win the game with just Ogerpon and Raging Bolt. Ivy Cudgel kills the Rilla, Jugulis just dies here. Fluttermane's also extremely low at this point, it's only 43%, right? So I can safely just go for a Protect and Terra Fairy webs here. This is very safe because Fluttermane's faster than my Ogerpon, right? If I get webs off on it though, my Ogerpon can now outspeed it. If he clicks Follow Me, it's fine because Cudgel on my Ogerpon's just doing too much, right? So yeah, he can follow me, but he's kind of cooked anyways because I can just Cudgel and like Snarl, and he's in a bad spot. He actually goes for Glide to fish for like a maybe crit there to kill me. He doesn't get it though, and able to win the game with Raging Bolt endgame. Because yeah, at this point, Ogerpon cannot beat my Ogerpon Raging because he's -1, and I'm attacking him first before he moves, so he just gets KO'd here. Yeah, crit Ivy Cudgel. Doesn't matter at this point. As long as I land Draco, I was always winning that. So yeah, that's how I was able to win game 1. For the game 2 here, I believe I just go for the same thing. So this time around, instead of going for Rock Slide, I just go for Stomping straight up. Rock Slide was covering in case the Fluttermane went to Rilla and also gained damage to Jugulis. Because I Prankster Tailwind, I can just go for Tailwind Stomping to kill the Fluttermane. He stays in this time, making kind of a greedy read there. I get the Stomping KO immediately, and that's like kind of the biggest threat gone, because I have Raging Bolt in the back. Fluttermane does a lot of damage to Raging. But now, with a combination of Rain Dance, I can take the Cudgel a lot safer, Stomping to put Ogerpon in range of any hit, also have more accurate Bleak Winds, and I can just win the game now with Raging Bolt. Yeah, with Fluttermane gone, Raging Bolt just beats the rest of the team. Even if he had Regidrago, I never committed Terra yet, right? I have Terra Fairy safely to always beat the Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt to always beat the Drago, right? So yeah, he was kind of cooked from here at this point. I click webs over and over again. I lose a Torn. I probably could have also Terra Steel to live the Air Slash, but I wanted to preserve my Terra on Raging Bolt again in case he had the Regidrago. But yeah, I clap the Jugulis, call him the Snarl. He goes for it, able to get rid of it, and at this point I just win the game because he cannot break Raging. So yeah, this is kind of a masterclass showcase of just Tor and Lando at Raging Bolt. these are very flexible mons. As you can tell, I was able to basically utilize every single mon in these games I had so far. For the rest of the video, I will show some games I'm going to play live, just so you can replicate the success I had beforehand. And then I'll do a little team review towards the end about the team as well. All right, next up. This is actually quite fast. I didn't have to even stop the recording for a little bit. It was only 5 seconds. Anyways, we're up against a Rory Moon Specs Goldango team. I believe it's actually what Patrick Connors used to Day 2 VR. So maybe this is him. All right. Another Lando. No Chen Pao, though. Chen Pao is definitely more annoying for a team like this. As you see, there's a lot of Ice Weeks on this team. Double Flying, Terra Dragon Gold, Reishi Bolt. All don't like Chen Pao, so happy to see no Chen Pao here. I mean, Torn looks good on paper. Not many Bleakwind switch-ins. And Lando's good for Intimidate, so maybe it's just Torn Lando again. The old but classic true combo. I do like Ogerpon here this time around. It's a Goldango resist. It's gonna be better versus that Lando and good versus Urshifu. Definitely need Urshifu counterplay. And lastly, I'm trying to think of what's best here. There's a lot of good options. Gold is better to deal with, I guess, well, it's Amoonguss, but it's a little bit weaker to Lando. He's also Sandseer, so you can get around direction, so it's probably Urshifu. As I say that, he has the Amoonguss here. But that's fine, I think, because I can just go for a Bleakwind Storm, and I'm going to U-turn the Goldango here. I can easily swap to Ogerpon. I think that in this spot, he's probably more tempted to Spore the Lando. And I do have Earthquake Bleakwind, which he can swap to Landorous and easy for. Yeah, so. Okay, Bleakwind the Amoonguss. We U-turn out. We go in Ogerpon. Hopefully he goes for Spore into the... Yep, he Spores the Ogerpon slot, which is great because we have Horn Leech into the Amoonguss, right? And we can also Ivy Cudgel the Lando slot, right? A lot of good plays here. I'm thinking we just go for Bleakwind again, and we can Horn Leech the Amoonguss. I think that's like a pretty decent play. Especially if we land Bleakwind on the Amoonguss here. Okay, nice. And Horn Leech should kill Amoonguss now. Be close. Okay, that's kill. Nice. So that's a good turn of events. And now I think we're in a pretty good spot, honestly, because we can we Terra Steel here. I don't know if Terra Steel is actually bad. We don't need Terra on anyone else at this point, the more I'm looking at it. Like, we can actually Terra Steel, Bleakwind, and Ivy Cudgel Gold. We don't need to set up Talon immediately. Yeah, nice. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's good damage. That's like Sucker Punch range now for sure. And here, I guess here, we can go for a... He has Sandseer. That's kind of annoying. I think we can just go for a Tailwind now, and we can Cudgel the Gold. Goes for Breaking Swipe, which is fine. We're stalling out his own Tailwind turns. I think at this point, we can basically say that we're going to win with Urshifu in the back. So I think that part is fine. I'm thinking here, we can just click, probably just... Maybe just Bleakwind Storm here and Spiky. I think that's relatively safe. Okay, let's go for that. That's fine. We drop a little bit from Spiky Shield. We land the Bleakwind on the Rory Moon, so probably in range of Sucker Punch as well. No drop, but that's okay. We can probably just go for a maybe swap to Lando here. We can Ivy Cudgel the Landorous here. We can see actually if we're faster than Lando here. Is he modest? He is modest, so that's huge. He ends up living, but it's totally fine because we have this board state. We can get Urshifu under Tailwind, and we win from there. So that part was good. Okay, I was a pretty big fan of that. I felt like he didn't really have much counterplay. Ogerpon was good for Amoonguss. Amoonguss Goldango was interesting. It was pretty hard to Torn Lando, I felt. But I think we can just do the same thing. We can just Torn Lando with Ogerpon and Urshifu. We get to reveal it, but Urshifu would have cleaned up the endgame for sure. He just forfeited a little bit early. All right, there you go. There it is. All right, that's fine. A lot of different plays we can do here, I feel. I think we can just go for like a Tailwind U-turn at Rory Moon. Okay, we got that very wrong. Got that so wrong. Okay, that's okay. He's probably going to Jet Torn, so we can swap to Ogerpon and U-turn the Moon here. Oh, if we just Bleakwind Earthquake, I think that was game. But now, we're able to force out the Terror on Roaring Moon so early, which is actually great, because now he doesn't have like a great ground switch in, right? Or not many good ones. So like I think here we can go for like a Follow Me, and we Terror Dark Wicked Blow the Roaring. Goes for Break and Swipe, but that's fine. Now we're faster than his Urshifu, which makes sense. He's bulky Mystic, right? Okay, that's totally fine now though. Because now we are in a decent spot. We can probably reposition our Ogerpon out. I'm thinking like we can swap out Ogerpon to Landorous, and we can Wicked Blow the Urshifu. We are -2, so Wicked Blow actually do more. Okay, that's fine. So he Surgings the Urshifu here. But that's totally okay, because we have Tauren. And he can Jet us, but if he Jets us, we have the swap back into Ogerpon here, right? Maybe we should actually bring Ogerpon out first. Maybe this is actually a mistake. Probably was a mistake. Oops. He for sure has Lando back. There's no reason for him not to have Lando. So he can like Jet and I think pivot to Lando here. So I'm gonna do this. I guess that way around. Got me good. Okay, good play. Very good play on his part. But we've Ivy Cudgel into the Landorous slot. I think Urshifu could also pivot back into Incin. That's actually a pretty safe play on his part, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna go Tauren Spiky. I think we made a mistake there. I'm playing so bad today. Or I'm making like very minor misplays. Okay, we got the play wrong. Okay. Unfortunate. I thought he would respect that more, to be honest. But we can Rock Slide and Cudgel. Maybe get a flinch here. Okay, he's faster than Landorous. So he actually does have speed investment. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, I did not play that properly, though. That was not my proudest work. Playing a little sloppy today. Which is unfortunate, because I was literally playing a few games beforehand. I was 3-0 and louder with this, because we lost a bunch of games with the Moltres team. So I wanted to try this out to see how it was going, and I was winning. I was winning quite a bit. Fortunately, getting a little sauced on right now. Too much sauce. Okay, maybe bringing Goldengo would have been good here. Terra Dragon Gold? That's pretty good versus majority of Pokemon, right? Surely. Maybe like Lando Gold with like Ogerpon Tauren. Okay, this actually works out quite well in my opinion. Yeah, this seems actually perfectly fine. Because Roaring Moon's -2. I can go for like something like a U-turn into the Roaring and maybe Terra Dragon Nasty. Okay, that's okay. Ooh, to go for knockoff. And they go for they crit me. That crit's really bad. That crit's like extremely bad, to be honest. I'm gonna go start for something, make it rain here. This will allow me to ideally pick up the Incin here with the minus, because we get the boost from the Stomping. But he goes for Blitz because, yeah, the crit means he can go for that play, which just really sucks. But it's still fine because of how low the Roaring is now. That part's good, in a sense. But I'm not a fan of how this has played out. That was some bad RNG there. Okay. So, I mean, we can still get around this, for sure. We tail and make it rain again. We can also tail and protect. That's also a decent play. We can also plot again, but I'm honestly trying to think of how to get around this now. This is actually quite the unfortunate turn of events, in my opinion. I could protect the Tauren if he's trying to Power Rain Shot out, but he's probably gonna knock off my leftovers, which is like not ideal, not ideal. So if I get here, I can Bleak Wind and protect. Yes, we're breaking, so it probably knocks off my lefties, right? Okay, Power Rain Shots out. So I could have had this strong. Darn, that's really annoying. You got the lucky, super lucky crit there. Because we would have lived that, like 100%. Okay. So we can still get around this. It's just quite annoying. I think here we can go for Tailwind, and he's EP Shadow Ball into our gold, or EP Earth Power. But we can Bleak Wind here. We can also Bleak Wind Shadow Ball. If he doubles the gold, then we're trading. This for Terra Steel. Okay. Oh, this is good, cause this should kill Lando. Oh, it doesn't kill Lando. Darn. That's so unfortunate. And Lilo just came down to just, if he didn't crit us, I think the crit was actually such a bad deal for us. Now we're gonna be 0-2. That's so lame. That's so lame. Yeah, I think we're gonna read here. I mean, we can still kind of get around this. I think, like, the only way I can get around is making a read here. Like, I need to call the instant coming in and protect the Lando, so... Okay, yeah, no. He always put it correctly there. I had to make, like a call at that point, but unfortunately we lost it there. Darn, that sucks. That crit sold it for us, but hopefully he can bounce back. Alright, next up. We have a Sunroom team. Very interesting. Iron Boulder. I don't know if you guys know about the Iron Boulder lore, but one time I protected her from an Iron Boulder at local, and the whole community clowned on me for forgetting what Mighty Cleave did. I got exposed. But this time I know what Mighty Cleave does. Mighty Cleave hits to protect. It's like Urshifu. Just remember that. It's like Urshifu. That's the best advice I can give about going against Iron Boulder. Alright, looking at this. It's Calm Mind Flutter. That's a weird set. Strange team. Going against a lot of weird stuff today. I mean, I kind of like the idea of Raging Bolt lead here. That's not bad. Maybe like Wedgie Brot plus Wellspring with like Lando Tor in the back. Back Torn's good for Rain Dance. Okay. I think this turns out to be okay. I don't know how ideal it is, but we could probably just Draco the Ogerpon and Ivy Cudgel the Furry. And we can Snarl after. We can't. I don't want to Snarl just yet because of the Defiant. Okay. I just go for Hyper Boost immediately. That's annoying. But honestly, it might be okay because I actually think Earthquake kills Farig, and even though we gave it Defiant, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna swap to Tor and I'm gonna Terra Steel Earthquake. Because then after, he's not gonna Stomping Tantrum the Terra Steel Lando immediately. I can go for a Tailwind after, and Earthquake will just kill both, right? So, that's my goal. Actually, I actually don't know how fast Ogerpon is after a Speed Boost, but we should be faster. If we're faster than a Chun-Pao after a Tailwind, I'm pretty sure Lando speeds. Yeah, nice. So we need to play right, and it should kill because we're Choice Band. Nice. I think it's actually a good spot now because we Tailwind EQ. Yeah, we can just Tailwind Earthquake here pretty safely. And it'd be Clap. Clap should win. Oh, that just kills both. And he missed the Icy. Alright, nice. That's clean. Cool, cool. So yeah, Raging Ogerpon's pretty good here, and I think we just do the same thing. Raging Bolt is just super good versus Sun teams. Again, like this is where having Raging Bolt's better than Flutter. You can resist a lot of these common Pokemon. You know, mainly the two guys here. I wonder if I just doubled the Furry here. Keeps critting me. That's pretty annoying. Okay, nice. Kill the Furry. So there's no more Trick Room, potentially. I think like this time around he would adjust for Trick Room. That's why I want to go with this. I'm expecting Torkoal here. Okay. I keep getting this quite wrong. That's fine. What do I want to do here? Like, do I webs? I can web Spiky. That's fine. the webs off, which is a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. So I think here I can just webs again, and I can probably just go for a, IV Cudgel or Follow Me. Here, trying to think of alternative plays I have here. I kind of like webs again, so I can make the Flutterman slower. That's really it. Yeah. Okay, that's okay. Because I have Bleak Wind as well. Like, I'm thinking here, I can Bleak Wind to kill the, also Terra Steel. But I don't know if I should Terra Steel here. I think I can just go for a swap to Lando. If I land Bleak Wind, I should just kill Ogerpon straight up, which is my goal here. That's the goal. So we're 44 Modest. I think he should kill because he's Focus Sash. Moonblast. It doesn't kill. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, it should theoretically be fine. Because... Oh, that's actually not good. I actually thought that would kill. I don't know. We're 44 Modest, right? Like, surely that should have killed. But oh, that's not good anymore. I think here we have to Stomping and, what, Clap? Okay, now we lose. Because we didn't Tailwind up. Oh, that's so bad. I thought that would kill. If we had Tailwind, we had a chance. Darn. Okay, no worries. Maybe we need gold on lead. Although it's a little bit funny. Like something like I don't know, like gold plus... Or even Torn would still be okay on lead, to be honest. Like Torn Gold. I kind of like that. Torn Gold with Lando. And I think we still bring Raging. Ogerpon's not... Actually didn't do a whole lot, to be honest. So I'm going to go with that. Because he didn't bring Torkoal. If he does the same thing, yeah, because we can just Bleak Wind and Nasty Plot here. If he goes for Trick Room, that's fine, because our gold doesn't care about both these guys under TR. Yeah, Frizzly he keeps doing. I think this makes more sense. Ogerpon didn't feel like a really good Pokemon. Okay. Because like, I'm trying to think like what he can do here. Not much. I think he has to get really lucky, like a Stompy Tantrum crit or something. That would screw us up. But you can't kill Eater here, which is why I like this lead. Dude, he's taking so long. But yeah. And I'm just trying to think of like what he can do. Yeah, he can't do much. Stomping doesn't do much here. Oh, that's just worse. If you went for Trick Room here. Uh-oh. Okay, he didn't. Whew. That went bad. Because now I can go for Tail and make it rain to get around these speed boosts if he does Terra. If he TR there, I was cooked. So, I do appreciate this. Very odd team. But yeah, I never really done Torn Gold. It's kind of like a interesting lead, because you're not really like... You can only do this versus teams where you can stab the gold easily, I feel. Which, for Rigoraf, Ogerpon's a pretty passive lead versus Goldengo on paper. And this should kill because you're +2. Yep. Okay, yeah, now this should be fine, because now I can just Bleak Wind, make it rain over and over again. And I still have Landorous in the back. He also doesn't have, like... He can't resist to make it rain. He's Terra Fairy, so this seems pretty safe up and make it rain Terra, and then we can play. No drawback at all. Okay, keep landing. Yeah, we'll take it, right? But again, he can't really do much here. I feel like to play it safe, I can protect and make it rain in case he gets like a double protect, and this allows me to get Landorous for free, which is really good. Goes for Moonblast. We're okay with that because we killed the Chi-Yu. Or not Chi-Yu, we killed the Fluttermane. And then we got Landorous, and now we have Bleak Wind, EQ. And we win the game from there. So nice. Able to get a win. Because we had a little bit of a rough start earlier. But yeah, we'll take it here. Alright, next game. This is a good one. Being able to cover the Tailwind and the Trick Room can be always scary. So I think this is a pretty good AV Bolt game. Actually, AV Bolt kind of walls most of his team outside of the Fluttermane. The Specs Flutter is definitely worrisome. Not gonna lie about that. But yeah, let's see on how we can cover for it. I'm trying to think of a solid lead here. I know Lando also looks pretty good here on paper, to be honest. It's good versus Heartflame Ensign and such. It's only kind of bad versus Flutter. I think Gold Ogerpon's not bad here. In the back, we can do something like... I'm trying to think. Because you want to bring Torn here, but if he goes Trick Room, that gets significantly worse. Actually, maybe Raging Bolt is not necessarily required, because I can use the Terra Dragon Gold to beat the Heartflame, and I can beat the Flutter and make it rain. So maybe I get something like Ogerpon Gold with like Torn Lando. Yeah, okay, I think this is still fine on paper. Because this kind of allows me just to get off a what? A Nasty Plot plus Follow Me play. Here's pretty okay. Follow Me away any of the knockoffs. He goes for U-turn. But again, that's fine, because like in this scenario, your Blood Moon does not appreciate taking a Make It Rain. So like I think here I can just Follow Me Make It Rain. Yeah, he can go for this, but if I went for Double Protect, this would have sucked. Okay, this is fine though. Yeah, because he's still taking like a lot of damage. Here I think we can Protect now. He goes for Terra Normal, that's fine. Goes for Fake Out, kicks the Spiky Shield, and you go for Hyper Voice. Yeah, that's Shell. And I think in here, to be honest, I kind of like the idea. This might be greedy. I like the idea of going for another Nasty Plot. Or actually, no, I'm actually too greedy the more I'm looking at it. Because I think we want to get rid of these Ursa. Well, I'm going for the play. I'm going for a gut play. I'm going for Terra Water to live the Hyper Voice, and just so the Flare Buds doesn't get redirected into the gold. Okay. This is actually also nice to know that his Ensign is slower. Okay, he does get a lucky crit here. But again, that's fine, because now we are back to, we're +3. So in a sense, that's actually pretty okay, because we can Protect here. And now, like, we have a really strong Make It Rain that should just kind of board wipe, right? It's just a little obnoxious that the crit there. What's good to know is Instant is slower. So that's actually easier to adjust for game 2. We didn't need a Terra Water there. We could have actually just Follow Mate again. But I was worried about his Blood Moon underspeeding the Instant. But yeah, totally chill. I think here we can Make It Rain and swap to Lando. That seems like relatively safe. And then we should actually be able to endgame this with Torn Landorous, the more I'm looking at it. With Intimidate, our gold will live any hit from Ensign. Again, that crit was annoying. We could potentially die without that crit. But I think we should live with him. He faked out me. He forgot we Terra'd. Okay, that's pretty funny. Alright, we'll take it. That was really silly. And here we can Make It Rain and EQ. He can't kill both here. If he goes for a... Oh no, we should live any Moonblast, to be honest. Yeah, I think we just Make It Rain EQ anyways, though. Because even though we kill ourselves here, that's totally fine. We get a free swap to Torn, and we just EQ Bleak Wind again, right? So, to play it safe, we can Rain this and not miss the Bleak Wind that following turn. We just EQ here. Yeah, Psychic kills us, but not single target Bleak Wind Kofari. So that's fine. Alright, nice. That was clean. Yeah, so important to know, Instant was slower than Nefari, so we didn't have to, or Instant was slower than the Blood Moon, so we didn't have to make the Terra Water play. My Terra Water play only made sense if his Blood Moon undersped his Instant, so Terra Normal Hyper Voice kills Ogerpon, and the Instant can kill the Goldango potentially. So that wasn't required, as we saw there, which is good to know. Alright. Well, because of that, I'm thinking we can do something like Lando Gold lead with, like, Ogerpon Torn back, because we can immediately intimidate the guy. Or to get something like this, and this is where it gets a bit more volatile, to say the least. Very volatile. Okay. This is annoying. Okay. Well, I kind of like the idea of just going for a stomping into Ursa. Actually, I don't know. Okay, I think he's an EP the gold, so I'm gonna click Earthquake and pivot to Torrent. That's my replay. Okay, I got that very wrong, as you saw there. Very, very wrong. That was awful. That's probably the single worst turn one I could have asked for, to be honest. If I just went for Nasty Plot, I was in a fine spot, but that's like a read. Also, his lead of Limbs Urso was bad because I did not lead Torrent. So covering for his Shooker mode and covering for his Tailwind mode is going to be a huge hassle in this matchup. I mean, huge hassle. That was extremely annoying. Like, I felt like there was not much I could have done there, in a sense. Okay. How can we get around this? I have no idea. that was probably the single worst turn one ever. So I think here we can go for maybe Make It Rain, Tailwind. He goes for Moonblast EP, that probably kills our gold. Gets a drop too, so that's not great. And I mean, here we can follow me Bleak Wind, but I think at this point it's probably too late because if he has Flutter in the back, I think it's kind of cooked. Okay, Bleak Wind does kill the Ursa though, so maybe we have a chance. Because there's only... Oh, it's Instant Fari. Okay, we do have a chance to the win. That's actually pretty big, because I can just Cudgel Bleak Wind here. If I crit the Instant too, which I did not... Okay. I do have Rain Dance, so I can Rain Dance. Goes for Terra Grass, but that's fine. Okay, that's totally fine. Yeah, because I live, so now I can Spiky Shield and Bleak Wind pretty safely. I can also go for Follow Me though, which I think the Hyper Voice might be adding too much. Yeah, I can go for Follow Me, Bleak Wind Storm. Oh, I should Spiky. No, you went for Hyper Voice first. Yeah, no, I fucked up. Oh, it doesn't kill anyway, so I always lost. Alright. Oh well. I think my only out to win this is a Double Protect into a Bleak Wind crit. No, I was losing that anyways. I had to, even though I Spiky Shield, I would need like multiple protects. Oh, and I guess crits here. I need double protect them both there. That's where I messed up. Unfortunate. Okay. That turn one was atrocious. That was probably the worst turn one ever. The worst turn one known to man. That's okay though. I'm thinking we can do Torn Lando, gold back, and we can do is it Wellspring? Wellspring was okay, but honestly didn't really do much versus Instant and Fari. Maybe actually the Raging Bull in the back is better. AV Raging. That deals well versus Instant Furgraph in the back. Very well. Okay. Well, this is like okay. Not ideal. I mean, we do Terra Steel, to be fair. I don't hate that. I can go for like a Tailwind, Terra Steel, and EQ here. Okay. The flinch, he goes for Shadow Ball, so he gets the read right, but it's not the Underworld, so now I can Bleak Wind and Earthquake here. He's not having any great switch into this. I can also go for Stomping, but I think I need the EQ damage on the Flutter. That's why I'm going for EQ here. Okay. Hopefully this works. We should kill Flutter right now. Oh, we kill both. Okay, that's a huge turn. So I'm pretty happy with that play there. This turn here can be a little bit annoying, but I do like the play of just probably just going for Bleak Wind EQ. Alright, that's fine too. Because now he can't kill both. Actually, he can't kill either. I think, yeah, we just win now because like he dies to life for Recoil. So like here I can just protect and Make It Rain, and I win with Bolt every time. That's great. Yeah, Bolt always wins. Sweet. I can just like Rain Dance, I suppose, and I can go for a Snarl. Single target Snarl always wins. Great. Nice. That was a good win. Yeah, being able to cover for both his modes was kind of hard, but I think just like Torn and Lead covered for, I guess, like, even if he led Instant Fari, I think it was fine, because I can still get a Bleak Wind off, and he fake outs my Instant, that he doesn't get into Ursa immediately. So I think that the Torn adjustment, the game free there was fine. Yeah, but final thoughts on the team. I do like the combination of Landorous so much, like I said before. I just love like an Earthquake, but you definitely have to outplay versus some of the common teams in the format. Like playing around standard Rillaboom teams with like maybe Chen Power Raging Bolt can be an issue. Like I think of all the Raging Bolt balance variants, you have the best time versus the teams that don't have Chen Pao. As you can see, there's a lot of ice weaknesses on this team, and you can deal with Chen Pao with like a combination of Goldango, Intimidate, etc. But because you're Terra, Dragon Gold, and double flying, you have to play around Ice Spinner and Focus Sash, and then your ice switches are very limited, so you have to play very careful with Terra in that matchup. So, I mean, but outside the Chen Pao weakness, I do think that this team is quite strong versus some of the newer stuff. Like, some of the common teams right now don't have Rillaboom. There's not many ground switch-ins, so like you can like Earthquake around like maybe the team that just won Victory Road, for example. Like it's pretty decent, I would say, versus the Hisuian Arcanine booster Flutter main sets with the AV Raging. You can basically Earthquake that whole team. You're mostly just worried about Landorous Incarnate. So I think the biggest issues for me currently is really just dealing with Chen Pao sometimes. And I guess opposing Lando I, we did see some of the games today I had where if the Lando I comes in a good time, your switch-ins to it are a little bit limited as well, besides your own Lando and Torn with Earth Power. And if they are timid Lando I and they outspeed your Ogerpon, that can also be an issue. So something to consider in the future is maybe trying to make this Ogerpon faster. I kind of greeted out on bulk here, which was actually good in some of the games we had today, but maybe a Jolly Ogerpon that's faster than timid Lando I might be worth considering if that's a huge problem. But overall, I think that this team is very strong. You have a lot of different pieces on this team to assert damage, and you have a lot of ways to also play a little passive the team, like Intimidate plus setup and redirection. You can play a more slow pace of the game with maybe like Lando, Goldango Lee with like Ogerpon Torn back, or you play more aggressive with like Torn Lando with like Urshifu back plus like Ogerpon, right? There's a lot of damage. Ogerpon, I would say, is a pretty safe bring you can bring most times. A lot of Pokemon, I think you can kind of alternate between, which it kind of allows it to not be fully linear. Because when you look at Team on Distant Paper, sometimes Tornadoes Lando Lee might be something you do every single time. But I got to show off some of the games today where we weren't always doing Torn Lando, although it's probably the most notable mode of this team. But yeah, overall, I think that if you want to try a Tornadus comp that's not maybe as straightforward or not as casino-like as maybe Glamora and Shiyu, this team does not nearly have as many moves that can miss. So hopefully you land your Bleak ones. That's really it, all I gotta say. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying this style of content, please let me know. I know I haven't been really doing like, I usually do these little recaps of teams instead of just playing it out. But again, I think it's good for me to show how these teams work. And it's also good practice for me as well. I'm a little rusty right now, so I need some of these games to understand the format more, and hopefully you guys will understand it with me too. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Catch you later.